following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah! Go Cowboys! This is Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Invisalign, trusted by over 500 NFL players for their winning smiles. And broadcasting live from Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at the Star. Now your host, Nicole Hutchison.
Hello, Cowboys Nation. Welcome into Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Invisalign here in the SWBC studio. I'm Nicole Hutchison alongside Aisha Morrison, Jess Navarez, Christy Scales. Ladies, I wish I could be saying it's a happy Monday, but it is certainly not. The Cowboys absolutely getting manhandled in Lincoln Financial Field. 41-7. Did not expect that. Overall thoughts from the game. Christy, I'll start with you.
Well, you lose the turnover battle 4-0. That's what coaches and all the players were saying. And then we heard McCarthy just a few minutes ago lament the fact that it wasn't just losing the turnover battle, but careless turnovers, all four of them. And then in the second half, the Eagles didn't even have to put the ball in the air. They just handed it off to Saquon up through the early part of the fourth quarter. And Cowboys couldn't stop them. And really the most exciting part was the fight towards the end. But it was. The Eagles are the superior team this season, and they played like it on Sunday. And in spite of a valiant effort, I thought in the first half, but the turnovers just absolutely killed the team.
Mm-hmm. The Eagles played like a team that wanted to wrap up the division, and they did. And we talked about this on Friday, how the Cowboys had a chance to, we knew the playoff hopes and dreams were done a couple weeks ago, but at least seal their name as the ones that stopped the Eagles before they had a chance to wrap up, the division. Mm-hmm. And they couldn't do that. And so for me, it's more disappointing in the sense that, you had a chance to give yourself one more little morale boost just with how unfortunate this season has been. And you couldn't do that. So now you go into the final week of the season, you play Washington, and kind of no matter what happens, I feel like this is just a bitter taste to end the season with. No matter what happens come Sunday, win or lose, to me, it just feels like it's a bitter taste again that you end a season with, that you're going to hear about off season of, oh, we don't want the season to end like that again, and maybe not to the extent of last year with Green Bay. But it's frustrating because at least the very least that could have been done is not end the season in that way. Sure, lose the game because, yes, the Eagles are the more complete team. They have a roster full of just weapons and Saquon. I mean, on fire. But overall, I mean, it was something. It was something. I'm not going to say disappointing, but it was something.
I'll say it. It was disappointing.
It was disappointing.
I wasn't surprised. Once the wheels fell off, I was like, oh, there we are again. Mm-hmm. This is what lost them games earlier this season, was not punching people back in the mouth when they got punched, not counter punching. And so I was like, all right, time for a nap.
Yeah. It's fine.
Huh?
I think it also doesn't help when you said punching first or punching people in the back.
Counterpunch.
Yeah. My goodness.
Yeah, I gotcha.
It also doesn't help when you have like these self-inflicted wounds. I mean, first drive of the game. Came out playing well.
Yeah, they were.
Mm-hmm. Distributing the ball well. You get to the 35-yard line?
Yep.
Interception?
Yeah.
What's happening here?
Yeah.
Like 10 possessions, you have 4 punts, 2 fumbles, 2 interceptions, a missed field goal, granted. It's okay, it was 61-yarder.
We forgive you for that.
We forgive you for that. And 1 touchdown. Unacceptable.
Yeah, my initial thoughts are it was, I'm not going to say it's a reality check, but for me as someone that watches the film and values evaluation, it is a look-see of like where you are in comparison to your division.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. We are seeing, I feel like the Cowboys had a very interesting window this last 3 years, where they were the 12 and 5 years, where they weren't as, like, they had their issues, but Philly was going through coaching change. The Commanders going through quarterback. The Giants are the Giants.
Yeah.
You saw that the Cowboys had an opportunity to really take control of, you know, having the division or to continue to build upon like what they already have, and the other teams in your division feel urgency. That's what I feel. I feel like, and I think I've been saying that since the beginning of the season, I feel like the rest of the NFL's like, it's weird. I feel left out. I feel like they're passing us by with some of the decisions and some of the way they team build. Like, obviously, Washington was in a unique situation, getting Jaden Daniels, having the salary cap stuff that they had, being able to sign all the free agents they wanted to and stuff. But for me, it just is a damning, for me, it felt damning that this is a reflection of how you compare to your division. And I know that they beat Washington, you know, earlier this year, but Washington is a team that I believe is going to continue to get better. Yeah. How are you going to rise to the occasion and match the energy of the people you got to go through? You're going to have to go through both of these teams now, and even the Giants. No, we don't know what they're going to do in the offseason. Your division is better than they have been for a while.
Yeah.
What you gonna do about it?
That's something that actually Micah Parsons was asked about post game, is how do you get the Cowboys back, you know, to that top of the division? And he had mentioned that, one, you got to start getting healthy, because obviously these quarterbacks you're going to see every year. I think he even joked about it. You're going to see Jaden Daniels for the next 18 years of his life. So I mean, these are teams like you have already mentioned. You're going to see for however long these guys stay here in Dallas. How do the Cowboys get back to the top of the conversation in the division?
You know what scares me the most is, well, you have a looming contract. You just talked about Micah Parsons. You have a looming contract that needs to be handled, because if not, guess what's going to happen? Again, you're going to have repeated history of not being able to sign key and valuable players that are currently set to become free agents at the end of the season. That scares me more. Not having any offseason acquisitions is something that I do think hurt this team overall. I mean, and in that case, too, there was not a lot of problem solving early on to figure that out, i.e. The running back room. So, sure, you go out, you get Ezekiel Elliott, okay? And then what? You took, 8 weeks to figure out who your starting running back was when you had all summer, all off season. Like, it was never set up from the beginning to help anybody out. And then you have injuries come into play. And what concerns me about all these injuries is the timing of which these players can come back next year. So you're talking about a lot of key players who, some of them are even free agents, who might not be here next year. Then what? So it's just a very tangled web. And to answer your question, Nicole, of how you get back on top, you have to figure out, first and foremost, what is going to be the most important position to focus on in improving, and then kind of go back from there, because there's a lot of important groups. Your cornerback room needs some depth. Let's see, your DE room needs some depth. DT. Tight end.
Linebacker. If you don't bring back Eric Kendricks.
You have to set the tone of what's more important and then go from there, but actually do something about it. That's my problem, is do something. Are you going to draft and develop? Okay, but you need plug and play guys at this point.
Yes.
You don't have time to draft and develop with this team and how many people you might be losing on this current roster. It's plug and play, and if you're not ready to go, I'm sorry, like it's a hard roster spot for you to keep at this point.
It's just hard to see, you know, there's a sense of urgency
about these other teams.
Yeah, I mean, like, and again, like, we can talk about the salary cap, we can talk about the limitations, we can talk about all those things. And I think Jerry mentioned that, or Steven mentioned that today, like, they're going to be in salary cap hell. What? Yeah, but, like, oh my God. It's just so frustrating because they clearly want to win. They went out and got Saquon. They already have a good offensive line. They could have kept Kenneth Gainwell back there and probably still ran the ball well. But you know what they said? You know what? We're going to go get a guy that's coming off of an ACL, but we believe is going to make a difference on our team. And you know how they finish games?
2,000
They
yards
lean
later.
on him.
Literally.
Their offensive line is already one of the best in the league. They noticed that's a strength, and they said, you know what? Let's make it better.
Yep.
Let's make it better. We have Vic Fangio. We have that defensive line. Let's make it better. Let's go heavy in our secondary and draft guys that can come in and make an impact early. There's just, to me, what's the most frustrating is just Philly was already good. They said, I want to get better. I don't want the Cowboys to just be good enough to get into the playoffs. Yep. I want you to be good enough to win in the playoffs. So this, to me, should be, I hope that the folks that get paid way more than us are looking at what's happening in the division and saying, we have to make changes. We can't, right now, you can't compete with your division. There is no playoffs. There is no playoffs, whether you're healthy or not. Like, it's okay to adopt some of the ideals of the trends of the NFL that are effective, and clearly building your trenches and being able to run the ball is important. And that's something that you literally, like, almost neglected this year. Like, it's just baffling to me. This should be a wake-up call. It should be a huge wake-up call and a reality check of what you're going to have to go through as Jaden Daniels get better.
Yeah, that's
as Philly decides. Philly, they clearly feel comfortable. They found something in Kellen Moore. He's comfortable there. Yeah. They found something in Vic Fangio, who's one of the best defensive minds in football. Yeah. They're so good that they have drama all year, and they still winning games.
Well, because they win on both sides of the line of scrimmage.
Yes, ma'am.
They've got
built
arguably the best offensive line. I'm sure Detroit would have some argument with that. I'll take either one. Thank you.
Thank you.
Defensive line.
Yes, ma'am.
Defensive line. They had their way for a lot of the season. You know, not just against the Cowboys. And so, yeah, when you're Kellen Moore and when you're Vic Fangio and you're winning on both sides in the trenches, then you can pretty much do what you want to do. Here's the thing: the Cowboys, they knocked Kenny Pickett out of the game.
I was going to say,
The Eagles don't have their starting quarterback. You knock the second guy out. The third guy comes in. It's his first time to ever play in the NFL, and he throws 2 touchdown passes. But here's the thing: they didn't have to rely on those guys. The Eagles only attempted 19 passes yesterday because they had to do was run the ball.
Insane. When I looked at the fact they threw the ball 19 times, y'all.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Do you understand how, like, I have this thing where I'm trying to figure out, I'm going to do some research. I'm going to write a letter. I'm trying to figure out why
Who you write a letter to?
Somebody.
Dear Mr.
Dear Elias Sports Bureau.
Dear Mr.
Dear Roger Goodell.
Where is it going?
Somebody, anybody.
My goodness.
But it's weird because the quarterback position to me, because of the intellect you have to do it and all the stuff that people talk about, how they're the difference maker, all this stuff, I feel like that has somehow translated to it has to be difficult for them. The best teams in the league make it easy for their quarterback. And that's what Philly.
But you're saying it has to be difficult for the Cowboys.
What I'm saying is I think that there's this preconceived notion that the quarterback has to be the full-on anchor, the reason why everything goes right. I don't believe in that. I believe that the quarterback should be a big part of that. But what facilitates that is you putting pieces around him. You can imagine how Jalen Hurts knows this defense is gonna get turnovers, gonna give him other opportunities. He knows his offensive line is gonna do things for him like that. Simplify the game.
Well, Aisha, that's what the Cowboys had in 2016 when Dak Prescott comes in, and you've got Zeke Elliott, you've got that very fine offensive lineman, and Scott Linehan was the offensive coordinator at the time. And, I mean, that was the big thing going into the next season was the ability to keep Linehan and Rod Marinelli as your coordinators, offensive and defensive. But, it was a good offensive line. You had a good running game, and it was designed for Dak. And that's not any knock on him, but he was a 4th-round pick and was 4th on the depth chart entering training camp. No one thought he was going to have to play. So, it's all about playing to their strengths and building around, just like you say. And one thing about the Redskins, though, with Jaden Daniels, here's the thing. What the Commanders, have with Jaden Daniels right now, and that city is on fire, and they are excited, and the future looks bright. And that's exactly what they had with Robert Griffin a dozen years ago. And if not for the knee injury that derailed his career, who knows what it would have been for Washington, moving forward. So, but it's exciting. and it's good for football.
It is.
But it's not necessarily good for the Cowboys because what you guys are saying is absolutely right. In the division, it is not a two-horse race anymore. It's not going to be either the Eagles or the Cowboys moving forward, not with what
And like
Dan
barely
Quinn and Jen
squeaking in
Daniels.
too.
Yeah.
Like barely, because it would always come down to the final week of
And whoever
hey,
stubbed their toe.
Exactly. And waiting for
Really.
whichever team had the wheels fall off first.
Yeah.
That's what it always has come down to. But what's interesting too is you have Jalen Hurts out, which all everybody was talking about is how this was going to affect the offensive system. It just took them 2 quarters to figure out, hey, we really don't have to do much. Just hand the ball to Saquon. And to me, that tells me that this is a very quarterback-friendly system that they have going on because they had 3 different styles of quarterbacks that they've had to use. Yeah. They had Jalen Hurts, who, yes, everything surrounds around Jalen Hurts, and they're even better when he's playing. They had Kenny Pickett, he goes out. And then you have your 3rd-string quarterback that goes in, and he's still beating this team, given injuries, blah, 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 blah. And we know he still went out there and he beat the Dallas Cowboys on his first career start.
Maybe the Cowboys got 4 pressures yesterday.
Yeah, that there was
No sacks.
absolutely
System.
They didn't breathe on them people.
Yeah, and so
Flick 'em.
the mismatch that you had with Andrew Booth trying to cover Devontae Smith, and when you're getting no help from the pass rush, you're hung out to dry.
They didn't even target. You're right. You're 100% right about the lack of pass rush and how they made it hard on them. They didn't even target Deron. Like, Devontae Smith didn't catch a ball on Deron Bland.
That was by design.
It was
No, because Deron Bland was trailing A.J. Brown.
Yeah.
And that's smart
there were
football.
only a couple times where they did move him into the slot a couple times where Deron had to take one of the other receivers. The other thing was Jordan Lewis remained in the slot the entire game.
Yeah.
And they didn't have him play outside.
Yes, right.
Troy Pride Jr., who, surprised, people didn't even know he was on the practice squad, and then he gets in a fight at the end of the game, and then he was elevated from the practice squad on Saturday, and he ends up replacing Booth for some downs there in the 4th quarter. Booth went back in a little bit later, but, it doesn't matter if it's Deion Sanders back there. If you don't get a pass rush, it's going to be a hard matchup.
Y'all know what I thought was funny?
What?
It really wasn't funny.
I was gonna say
internally it was funny.
It's not funny when you say that.
It wasn't funny for real. Literally, I think Kellen Moore was just trying to play cat and mouse the first 2 drives for the Eagles. They already know Saquon Barkley was going to come out there and run. Yeah. Obviously, give them success running the football. But I feel like the first 2 possessions, they were like, let's just try to throw this thing around real quick. Let's just try to be disrespectful.
Yeah.
I mean, I think
they did. It was 7-7 till what? End of the first quarter? Am I tripping?
It felt
yes.
It was 7-7.
Yes.
Yeah, and
They didn't have to do
the 7
nothing.
points were Philly's 7 points came on the pick 6 by Gardner Johnson. So
Yeah, like offensively, they really didn't have to earn anything until finally they settled down, and the defense. If you're not getting home, that's going to give them success to just do anything they want to do. You know, so long day offensively, long day defensively, special teams. Long day.
Yeah.
But no, do you think offensively, before I wrap this up, this first segment, offensively, do you feel like no CeeDee Lamb kind of took a little bit of breath away from this offense?
yeah.
Girl, the breath.
Life.
Options, life.
You telling me
changes so
you
much.
telling me I ain't got to worry about him? You telling me I don't have to allocate
Heartbeat, pulse.
I don't have to allocate 2 defenders basically to have to deal with him. Heck yeah! Now I will say what we saw from Brandon Cooks in the beginning of that game was good to see. Good to see him having a pep in his step. They clearly wanted to feature him early in that game, and he's a free agent too. So get some good tape out there for himself as well. But I just feel like I liked that part of things, but I don't have a lot to say about what they did offensively because it was little to nothing good. I thought Rico had some decent runs in between the tackles too.
Yeah, I mean, to answer your question, took everything out, and that's what scares me is Brandon Cooks obviously didn't get a lot of playing time this season because he was dealing with the injury from early on and everything. But not only that, but to your point, I think Christy, you said it. He's a free agent next season. You said it. Somebody said it.
I appreciate it.
But that's been why we've been screaming from the rooftops, who is truly wide receiver 3, because at that point, that person should have been the one to step up at wide receiver 2 when Cooks was clearly the fill-in wide receiver 1 in this game. So who's 2? Who's 3? Where's your tight ends? Like, it's just the whole receiving game. Just they took advantage, and it showed. And miss you, CD. Hope you have a great offseason that's well and deserved, and can't wait to see you next season.
No receiver hit in week 10. No receiver hit over 27 yards against Philly. Week 17, Sunday, no receiver hit over 52 yards. So clearly a significant problem there. All right, we're going to take our first break here on Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Invisalign. We'll be right back with Defense Talk.
Hey y'all, Matt Pittman of Meat Church here. With football season kicking off, I'm already gearing up to bring the smoker back to AT&T Stadium for some epic tailgates. But with that Texas heat, it's crucial to keep my beer hand cramping cold. That's where Yeti's insulated Colster can cooler comes in clutch. This year, you can even get them with the iconic star engraved on the side. Licensed Yeti Cowboys gear is now available at Stadium Pro Shops, concessions, and on Yeti.com. Check it out today. Yeti, official cooler and drinkware of the Dallas Cowboys.
Discover Aiden, the official luggage partner of the Dallas Cowboys and Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. Known for top-tier engineering and craftsmanship, Aiden offers more than just bags. Originating from Australia and designed in New York, it merges fashion, design, and culture. Used by Dallas Cowboys players, staff, and the entire organization, Aiden provides style and functionality for all travelers. Visit AidenTheBrand.com and use code AidenXCowboys for 25% off your purchase. Travel like your favorite stars with Aiden.
When you're on the field, you know what it takes to lead your team and play with confidence. But that confidence shouldn't just stop at game time. It should follow you off the field, too. Join over 500 NFL players who trust Invisalign, the #1 doctor-recommended clear aligner brand. Ready to take the first step towards a smile you'll love? Visit Invisalign.com/NFL and find a doctor near you today. Transform your smile and take your confidence to the next level, both on the field and off.
Cowboys fans, when it comes to navigating the ever-changing world of tax, your business needs a partner it can trust to tackle even your biggest tax challenges. Ryan is the largest firm in the world dedicated exclusively to business taxes. Our team of tax professionals has local expertise in all areas of tax and can help you uncover savings opportunities you didn't know you had. Learn more about how Ryan can improve your overall corporate tax performance by visiting Ryan.com. Ryan, the official tax partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
The Dallas Cowboys honored the legacy of Bob Lilly through the Bob Lilly Award presented by Ryan, awarded to the current Cowboy who demonstrates the highest level of achievement, sportsmanship, dedication, and leadership. Cast your vote now and help choose the player who best embodies the qualities that made Bob Lilly one of the greatest Cowboys of all time. Visit DallasCowboys.com/Bob Lilly and cast your vote today.
Cast your vote, please. Everybody cast your vote.
It's getting her, it just takes over her body sometimes.
You know what? It's the end of the season, right?
It really does. I just feel like sometimes, you have to talk in like a British accent.
Let it out.
I feel like everyone does.
Yeah.
Chrissy, can I hear your British
I'm not
accent?
very good at that. Mine is a little more Cockney, and I need a little My Fair Lady, Pygmalion improvement with my British accent.
Oh, goodness. All right, ladies. Defense, obviously they allowed 41 points. They have been outscored by Philly this season, 75-13. Huge issue there defensively. Was there anything at all that went right that you liked? I mean, it's hard to say. Obviously, we already touched on it. No pass rush.
Only nice thing I got. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. No pass rush.
Go ahead. What went right? One thing. Was there anything?
It wasn't consistently right because he was getting pushed out of plays too. But I just think Maris Leah found something to look forward to.
Yeah.
And that's one of the positives I took from it. Is like we just got to keep. If you're gonna find a positive, it's like, oh, yeah, I think you might got a player there. Yeah, just let him settle in. Let him continue to grow. Yeah. You at least have. Lord have mercy. You got one linebacker that you know for sure is coming back. Yeah. Next year, because what is it? We don't know, like
TBD.
Yeah, with Overshown how long he'll probably miss all or most of the season, and we don't know if Kendricks is going to be back because he's had just signed a 1-year deal.
Yeah, so your linebacker core, he might be the heart of your linebacker core right now. Yeah, and I think that he is taking on the task as best as he can, and obviously showing instances of real star quality. I think he can play. So I think that's my bright spot.
Well, what I like is the way he goes for the ball. I think he's going to be one of those catalytic players, and and the guy who's forcing the takeaways or recovering the fumble.
I like the communication and how easily he communicates around him, and definitely the green dot potential there. If Kendricks does not come back next year, I really like that Leofau got to learn from Eric this season and kind of take over that role, because it seems like he's just a really good fit. That's the one nice thing I had to say about that.
Well, I also think yesterday, Bland, there was the one where he got beat on the one really well thrown and really good route on the touchdown there. But the rest of the time, even though Philly didn't have to throw it much, I think it shows that he even when it's just him and you don't have a Trayvon Diggs on the other side, which the Cowboys don't have because Diggs is on IR, but he can be the guy you can really count on there.
Yeah.
So that's why I say in the previous segment that they were really exploiting that matchup with Andrew Booth. And so when we were talking earlier about the depth on this team, it's one thing to have depth. It's one thing to have depth at the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th spot. In the same position. So just as early in the first month of the season where the Cowboys found themselves without their top 4 defensive ends, you only have 2 of your top, well, if you include Mukwamu, 3 of your top 10 cornerbacks. Yeah. And so it's not just all of the different combos that you've had, but a guy, Oruwariye, who no one had ever heard of coming into the season, when he gets put on IR on Saturday, and you're like, oh no, what are we going to do? And Booth, who had started one game earlier in the year and got yanked at halftime of that, he's the guy you're having to count on, and it really wasn't much of a contest against Devontae Smith.
Yeah. What ultimately do you feel like failed this defense on Sunday?
Well, their offense failed them. Partially.
Yeah.
I mean, like they could have, I agree. I think they obviously, I expected for them to manufacture more pressure, help out the secondary. Yeah. But geez Louise, I mean, you turning over the ball to one of the best offenses in, you're giving the ball to one of the best offenses again. And Philly just capitalized. 14 points off of turnovers.
I think it was 24, actually.
24, rather,
24.
At the end.
There were 3 touchdowns and a field goal off of the turnovers.
I'm at halftime in my mind.
That's fine.
But no. Like, you 24 points off of turnovers. Thank you, Christy. Dog, like,
that makes it even worse.
Yeah.
Baby, you ain't even averaging 24 points a game. You can't afford that. And I think they put the defense in tough spots as they have, whatever. And it just was a recipe for not so goodness with them not being able to manage the clock and things like that, and having that defense on the field longer. Even they were gassed.
Well, when you're this late in the season and you're all banged up and you're having to play that much football when you shouldn't be, I mean, they were gassed. Towards the end of the game, I'm like, geez, guys,
there was no resistance.
Some water over here.
There was a point where there was no resistance to your point.
They gave up, and
I don't know about that part.
I would caution against saying they gave up.
In the last
they
quarter?
were overmatched. Well, they were overmatched and run down.
I'm saying, well, let me finish. Okay. I'm saying when you're that tired because you played that entire quarter, basically, your body's gonna give up. You're tired. Like, it's not fair to them how much they had to work in that game, because, to your point, the offense was making them do all of it.
In the second half, would you be surprised to tell you that if I told you that there was one play difference between the total number of plays in those two teams?
I understand.
Because the Cowboys had it most of the first half. But it wasn't reflected in the scoreboard because you had that long drive on offense to begin, and you're down 7-0 because of the pick 6. Yeah. So the Eagles ran 61 plays, and the Cowboys ran 60. Yeah. But it was so lopsided in the second half, and you're right, Jess. They were just
and when you're having to defend Saquon, like, you're just getting pounded, play after play after play after play after play. Like, it's a constant hit at that point, where it's a little different if you're passing the ball, you're not getting hit as much, and when you're not able to even pass rush, like, I'm not saying they were like, okay, screw this, I give up. They wanted to win that game. Don't get me wrong. We all know that, especially when you're at the link. You're in Philadelphia. Like, I saw somebody's tweet about, I think it was, who tweeted about Brock Hoffman, like, cheering on the fans that were booing at him? Like, they wanted to win that game. But what I'm saying is, when you're put in this position by your offense to constantly just get beat over and over and over and over again after, just like a whole half, your body's going to get tired and you're like, I can't do anything else. Like, they couldn't. And there was, to your point of not having depth, it's not like you can switch people in and out. Like, you're Micah Parsons, you're just there getting held every single play. And that man's, like, he takes a beating every season. So, it's not to anybody's fault. It's just your body can only handle so much when you're playing that much football when you shouldn't be.
Well, in fairness, they wear you down.
Yeah,
that's what a good offensive line does, though. That's what they do. They wear you down.
Oh, the
I
tush
agree.
push.
Like, they go heavy. Their tight end's gonna get out and block. You're gonna have some seriously huge humans coming down on you. And I just think obviously if you just want to cut it short and make it simple, they just didn't play complimentary football in any way, shape, or form. And you are not in a position to not do that.
Yeah.
And that's kind of that's why the doors, got blown off at the end there. I'm really curious about what next week is going to look like for these guys, because Washington probably does want to win that game for better seeding. So
and Micah said after the game that he had, I think he said it was in the first half, because he was talking about the rib injury. It was his hit on Kenny Pickett that knocked Pickett out of the game. But Mike had taken a rib shot earlier in the game, and so he never got any treatment on the sideline or anything like that. But it'll be interesting to see if he's able to practice this week.
I think they also just got, y'all all hit it on the nail. They also just got out-physicaled.
Yeah.
Is that a word?
Yeah.
Out-physicaled. Yeah. That was from the quarterback. Obviously, the tush push and for QB sneak touchdown. You from the trenches.
2.
Yeah.
Not even just 1. 2.
Don't remind me.
I hate it. I hate the.
But even the weapons. You had that touchdown that was obviously called back because A.J. Brown didn't get both feet in the end zone. But it was the stiff arm, also catching the ball on Deron Bland. Like, those guys came with a sense of urgency, as you'd like to say, but they were just out-physicaled. And that's something that, I feel like we didn't see last week against Tampa Bay. At least you saw the Cowboys come out and play with some sort of, like, fight, some sort of energy. It just didn't seem like it was there.
Well, Tampa doesn't have the lines that Philly has.
Well, it doesn't, but at the same time, like, you had a chance to go out there and be a spoiler again, like that. I
thought they came out well.
I was about to say, I thought they
at
first drive.
Yeah, I think they held on. They've done what they have done. Yeah, I agree. I think they've done what they've done. The defense specifically, I think they've done what they've done for quite a few weeks now. In the games that they even didn't win, where defense came out, they held these offenses to a point. The first 2 quarters of the game, doing everything that they can to make a difference, and then the third quarter comes. And the offense, like, these guys, it's just how football is. Like, they're only equipped to do that for so long. Also, too, good coaches adjust. Yeah. So you go out, like, you can tell the Cowboys wanted to go hit them in the mouth early, try to take advantage, try to do things. Obviously, the defense came out firing. Like, you felt the energy from the defense after a while, but it's also, too, scheme and things like that. So I just think that it just wasn't the way that things happened, and the turnovers was just a recipe for disaster, and this is where we are now.
All right, we got to take our second break. We're going to be right back on Girls Talk, Boys Talk to shine a light on the one bright spot that came out of Sunday's game. All right, we'll be right back with more.
When you're on the field, you know what it takes to lead your team and play with confidence. But that confidence shouldn't just stop at game time. It should follow you off the field, too. Join over 500 NFL players who trust Invisalign, the #1 doctor-recommended clear aligner brand. Ready to take the first step towards a smile you'll love? Visit Invisalign.com/NFL and find a doctor near you today. Transform your smile and take your confidence to the next level, both on the field and off.
Cowboys fans, when it comes to navigating the ever-changing world of tax, your business needs a partner it can trust to tackle even your biggest tax challenges. Ryan is the largest firm in the world dedicated exclusively to business taxes. Our team of tax professionals has local expertise in all areas of tax and can help you uncover savings opportunities you didn't know you had. Learn more about how Ryan can improve your overall corporate tax performance by visiting Ryan.com. Ryan, the official tax partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
Hey y'all, Matt Pittman of Meat Church here. With football season kicking off, I'm already gearing up to bring the smoker back to AT&T Stadium for some epic tailgates. But with that Texas heat, it's crucial to keep my beer hand cramping cold. That's where Yeti's insulated Colster can cooler comes in clutch. This year, you can even get them with the iconic star engraved on the side. Licensed Yeti Cowboys gear is now available at Stadium Pro Shops, concessions, and on Yeti.com. Check it out today. Yeti, official cooler and drinkware of the Dallas Cowboys.
Discover Aiden, the official luggage partner of the Dallas Cowboys and Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. Known for top-tier engineering and craftsmanship, Aiden offers more than just bags. Originating from Australia and designed in New York, it merges fashion, design, and culture. Used by Dallas Cowboys players, staff, and the entire organization, Aiden provides style and functionality for all travelers. Visit AidenTheBrand.com and use code AidenXCowboys for 25% off your purchase. Travel like your favorite stars with Aiden.
Nation, Amanda Foster has been named your 2024 Dallas Cowboys Fan of the Year, presented by Captain Morgan for her dedication to the team and spicing up the game. Vote for Amanda to be named the ultimate NFL Fan of the Year at NFL.com/fan of the year. Go vote for our girl, Amanda Foster.
All right, go vote for Amanda. Welcome back into Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Invisalign here, and we always shine a light on Rico Dowdle because we have been an advocate for Rico Dowdle since day one. And I'm
shining
the
a
light is crazy.
We're shining a light.
Oh my goodness. All right, Rico Dowdle's 104 yards, rushing yards, Sunday against Philly. Surpassed his 1,000-yard rushing yards in a season. His first of his career, the first undrafted player in Cowboys history to do so.
Can I say it? Can I say it?
Go ahead, girl.
Don't you dowdle the man.
Goodness gracious.
That was worth it.
She's sick.
She's absolutely sick. All right.
Did you not hear what she just said? That was worth it.
How good did it feel to see that happen from Rico Dowdle? And I'll start with you, Jess.
You know what? I'll let them go first. I'll sit here.
I can say that they knew on the sideline when he had reached the mark, so they were, wasn't the same anticipation in the stadium as Saquon,
right.
where there are 69,000 people counting down. But I had mentioned it to a couple people when he, on the run in which he reached the 1,000. And Brad and Babe up in the radio booth are like, did you tell? I'm like, well, 2 people know, and I'm spreading the word to more. And then by the time the next play, I'm like, hey, and they're like, yeah, we got it. So the staff was definitely aware of how much he needed.
That's dope.
Yeah, I mean, how I felt about it. If we being honest, like I was freaking out because he had fumbled before, and I was like, no,
yeah,
it hurt me so bad. I was like, no, you're doing so good, because I do think there were spots in that game where I was impressed with how the offensive line was able to get off the ball, and fire off on those Philly defenders, and I think that Rico. Especially early in that game, he's showing such patience and his cutback decisions. You can just tell, running back, he needed time to develop as a running back still. And play time is something that you can't replicate. Yeah. And you just see the growth in him as a player. So for me, I'm just happy for him as a player. Whatever he decides, I think that he should be proud of showing what he is capable of. And also, furthermore, staying healthy this season, prioritizing his health, and reaping the benefits of doing that. I think that that's positive reinforcement for himself. I hope whatever happens with him is good.
Yeah, and when you're going into your 17th game and you're still getting the yards after the contact that he is, and granted, he wasn't getting all the carries or, you know, it wasn't the lead back the first part of the season, but still, it takes a lot of durability, a lot of consistency, and a lot of want to. Yeah. But because he's still, and especially against that defense,
he's been getting hit,
moving forward. Yeah. But even with the hits that he's taking, he's still managing another 2, 3, 4 yards after that. The yards after contact has been really impressive all season.
What you got?
I'm just so happy for Rico. Man, this is a guy that even before you and I stepped into this job, he was a guy that a name that for some reason I was like, God, that's a special player. And then the injury would happen and you're like, okay, well, we'll see what he has next year. And then coming into this job, actually getting to talk to him and know Rico a little bit more and hear his football mind and his backstory and his why. And, you know, a guy that sat there, waited for his turn and finally got it and has made this much impact in such a short amount of time because he wasn't your lead back for the start of the season for weeks into it and could do this. I'm so excited to see what a full season would be for him, no matter where he's at as a lead back, because he's absolutely earned that opportunity. And I really hope he does get it, whether it's here or somewhere else, because he has waited until his number was called. And his story, just overcoming injuries and like you said, kind of learning as he's gotten older and as the game goes how to take care of his body. So proud of him, man. He's been one of my favorite players I've covered being here. And I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. Sure. But he is one of my favorite players to cover. And talking to him even before he was the starting back, like he's too cool to talk to us now because, you know, he's your starting back. But no, he has been really fun to watch and just grow, and even his confidence in speaking to media. I mean, it's cool to watch a guy finally get a shot and then do the most with it because he's been waiting to do it. So happy for him.
A lot of decisions to be made this offseason, Rico Dowdle being one of them. It'll be interesting to see what the Cowboys decide because that starts, next week?
Woo! Does he have tread? He don't got a lot of tread on his tires, huh?
Well, the one year, his second year, he ended up on IR with a hip injury, and the third year, he ended up on IR with an ankle injury. So his first 3 years here, let's see, as a rookie, he played in 15 games, but it was only in on 34 offensive snaps. He missed his entire second season with that hip injury, and then the third year where he had the ankle injury, he played in only 5 games, and it was just special teams in those 5 games. So it's really only been the last couple of years where he's actually had a chance to really carry the ball.
He's still young.
And the way the
like in football world,
in football world,
he's older.
But then there's also the 2 season-ending injuries. So yeah.
See, and what I really enjoyed talking to Rico about too was, hey, let's call it what it is. We're going to talk about the elephant in the room, which is you are known as injury prone at this point by the outside. How does that make you feel? Does that motivate you? What does that do for you? And he's like, well, first of all, I can explain like the injuries and kind of how it happened. He's like, but they're not repeat injuries. And so that was kind of his biggest thing was it's not the same thing happening over and over and over again. But he took the time to work with the trainers and work with the medical staff to come up with a pre and post tab system to work with his body before a game, before a practice, after a game, after practice. And to your point, Aisha, that's the change that he made. And then even going back to his diet, he made sure to take care of his body in new ways to avoid that stigma following him because it would just annoy him more than anything else.
All right. Well, this has been great. Unfortunately, I wish we were having a Victory Monday, but unfortunately, we are not. So, for so long, Nicole Hutchison, Aisha Morrison.
Be back tomorrow.
Jess Navarez, Chrissy Scales. Y'all will be back here tomorrow.
We will. I'll be sitting right there. Nicole will
going
be back
into
on
the
Wednesday.
New Year with the McL.
Oh, God.
Wow.
Oh, my goodness.
Not you watching. You're going to go into the New Year with a McW.
And on that note, we will see y'all tomorrow.
Bye, guys.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
Washington